Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday morning here. I'm in my office and just wrapped up my blog post that I'm creating a video for. If you want to read this instead of watch a video, check the link in the description. But if you know me or if you follow my stuff that I put out there, you know I talk a good bit about knowing your numbers and estimating and pricing for profit and all of that good stuff, job costing. But today I want to talk a little bit more about some practical things that after, traveling all over the country, visiting landscape companies all over the place and talking to hundreds of landscape companies, getting them set up with SynkedUP, some things that I kind of see happening as a trend, or it's just like a common mistake in estimating. So topic of this video is common practical mistakes in estimating and planning jobs, not necessarily strictly in like knowing your numbers, estimating. I'm talking just like practical side of things, like planning for efficiency and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to dive in. I got 3 main points. First one is not bidding enough of hours to cover logistics. And I think we've all done this at some point or another, where you show up on the job site, you're like, yeah, I can build that in 3 days. Sure. And you bid for it in 3 days. But you forgot to figure in the job's 45 minutes from your shop, drive time, material handling, logistics, picking up materials, handling returns, hauling waste, and getting that out of there. So you make sure that when you're bidding the man hours for that job, that you're also figuring enough of time to not only get the work done and build the beautiful patio, but all the logistics and the cleanup and the sod repair and all that goes with it. And sometimes that can add, in theory, it could add a whole day to a 3-day job, for that matter. And it is like this tends to be a little bit more of a beginner mistake. You let that once that happens to you a couple times, you realize that you learn your lesson quickly. The next one that I have, point number 2, is efficiency. So efficiency is a massive one. Like, you know how the whole know your numbers thing can, let's just say, if you figure out your numbers, you can go from breaking even to actually making a net profit. Let's just say you go from break even to making a 10% net profit. If you focus on this efficiency thing, I believe in many cases you can get another 10% of profit just out of paying attention to your operations and your process and handling your job sites efficiently. And I'll talk about a couple things. When I worked at Tussey Landscaping as a foreman, in the span of about a season or two, I went from visiting our local supply yard, picking up stuff and dropping stuff off, like multiple times a week I would be in there. And half the time I probably had my whole crew of guys with me too. And so just, imagine all those man hours that were spent on that work. But that was work, that was legitimate work. It had to be done, but there's more efficient ways to do it. And so what we did in our case is we negotiated with our local supply yard. And I'm not saying everybody can do this, but we were able to, take the principle, not what we did. Is we negotiated with the supply yard to bring our jobs down to our shop. So when we sold a job and we gave them that order, they would palletize, stretch wrap, bring that whole thing down to our shop and store it at our shop. Even though if that job's not going to start for another 3 months, so what? Now the materials are right there. We also started storing like lighting, stone, topsoil, mulch, boulders, anything we needed from a bulk plant. So we'd order in tractor loads of plants, store them at our shop, and then we'd just like pick what we needed to do the job without no trip to the nursery required, And so basically the principle is figure out how to minimize logistical time on the road, like going to your landscape supply yards, get fuel at your shop, and you should never be stopping at a gas station for fuel. That is a massive waste. But the whole point is in that season or two, I went from stopping at the landscape supply yard a couple times a week to counting on one hand how many times I'd been at that supply yard in the whole season. And it made, out of my 15 years at Tussey, that made probably I don't know if it's fair to say the biggest difference, but it's a contender to be the biggest difference in the efficiency we gained as a company and as a team. Because what was happening, it's a double whammy, because not only are you saving a hour that you would have been paying your employee for to do something that now they don't have to do, but you also now freed up that hour for that employee to be producing billable work. So it's a double whammy, the opportunity cost and the actual cost. So that's just a little story to kind of share the principle of look for ways to where you can minimize unbillable time, often in logistics and handling materials and stuff, to maximize time on the job site. It's all about trying to get as much of that 8-hour day or 10-hour day, whatever you work, on the job, producing work, moving that job forward towards completion. And if you're spending 10% of your payroll hours on things that aren't moving that job to completion so you can invoice for that job and move on to the next job, then it's an opportunity to pick up that slack and clean it up. Before I move on to the next point, I'll just say, like, I believe there's as much juice in this lemon, of the efficiency lemon, to squeeze out of as there is in the know your numbers to add, profit to your bottom line. So, point number 3 I have is failing to systemize the estimating process. And when you first start out, you're probably scratching out your estimate on your phone calculator, pen and paper, whatever. You might get into spreadsheets. You might be calling your supply yard for product info on every estimate. What was the price for that again? Or do you stock that again? And let me just sidestep. What is the number one thing that's going to help you win that job? Probably a lot of you are going to guess price, being the cheapest. Nope, it's not that, although that is a factor. I believe it's quote turnaround time. So the faster you can turn around that quote, when a client's like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking, you come out and visit them, you paint some lines in their backyard. From that point, the faster you get that quote back to them, the higher your chance of winning that job. There's a lot of studies that prove this, but if you strike while that iron is hot, your success is going to be a lot higher. And I mean a lot. Like, just to give you an example, there's one study, and I know this is not a direct correlation, but it's close. So it still makes the point. This one study said that when responding to a lead from a web form, the likelihood of converting that lead to a sale dropped 400% if you responded within 60 minutes instead of within 5 minutes. Now, I know most of us would be like, 60-minute response time? That's great. And I know that, maybe this is in the context of, e-commerce or whatever, but you take the principle, and run with it. Because if you can give that client a quote before you ever even leave the driveway, your chance of winning that job is far higher than if you're like, okay, bye, Mrs. Jones, I'll go back to the office, I'll work up the quote, and I'm really backed up right now, so it might be a week or two. They're either going to lose fire and passion for doing the job right now, or they're going to go to the next guy that gets them a quote quicker. It's amazing how, as humans, it's not just the dollars and cents that drive our decision making. It's also, we as humans, we make decisions from an emotional point. And if a week later you start having a conversation around the dinner table about, hey, maybe we should just go get a boat, or maybe we should go on a nice vacation instead of doing this backyard project. I mean, that's what you're competing with. So, point being, if you can streamline your estimating process to quickly get that quote back, even if it's the next day, that's better than 2 weeks from now. You would dramatically increase your close rate on your proposals that you're giving out there. So back to how this pertains to estimating, is you got to put your estimating process into a system. Like, if you're calling people, getting pricing, lost your PDF from the supply yard with their pricing on it, scratching it out on pen and paper, or even in manual spreadsheets for that matter, like, you have an opportunity to get faster. Using an estimating software can make this estimating process extremely efficient, and you're not crunching numbers on your calculator. You're just using templates and production rates. If you want to know more about production rates, I'll drop a link in the description of this video. If you haven't heard of that, you can go check that out. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not going to get into that. But the whole point of everything I'm talking about is to work your process to be able to quickly turn around quotes. And the sooner you can do that, the better. And, like I was saying, a software can do this. In SynkedUP, you can drag and drop in a template, which is all your suppliers' pricing already in it. Populate a few fields with measurements and sizes and quantities, and hit a button to send that out to the client immediately. They get an email, click on a link, or a text for that matter. Click on a link, look at it, choose what they want. Now, I don't want that light item. I just want the patio and the landscaping for now. I don't need the lighting. And as soon as they hit confirm, bam, they get the down payment invoice. Like, that's what I'm talking about with streamlining it. And you don't have to use SynkedUP. Like, use any software. Find a way to streamline your estimating process. I don't care if you even do it in spreadsheets in the beginning, but once you get over 300K in revenue, it's time to really get serious about it and really streamline your process. And you know, of course, I'm biased. I'm the founder of SynkedUP, but so I see that eye roll. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, just get a system that works. Make it fast. And if you aren't using anything, you do want to know more about SynkedUP, then hit up the link in the video description here for booking a demo, and we'll show it to you. So that's that. Now, this whole list of these 3 points of making sure to also budget enough of hours in your estimate for covering logistics, looking for ways to save unbillable time and increase efficiency in your process, and looking for ways to systemize your estimating process to save time. I know that's not an exhaustive list, but I'd say that's what bubbled to the top in my mind in terms of what I've been seeing over the last year working with people. And so I just wanted to make a quick video to show that to you, and hopefully that helps you out. And if I can help you in any way, drop me a comment, like, subscribe. That all helps. And we'll see you on the next one. Merry Christmas.